Hey guys, this is lesson 28 with the amines and ammonium salts. So this one, my best advice is just to keep working at it and write down in a notebook the different ones that you get. And then I know like a lot of common names will come up, just use Google to your advantage. Just this one I use a lot of Google. So let's get started. So we're gonna name this as a ring, a 6-member ring. So that's gonna be cyclohexane, and since there's a nitrogen in the place of a carbon, we're just going to add aza in the front, AZA, cyclohexane. So I like the ring ones, they're pretty easy when you have the nitrogen in the actual ring. Okay, so I kept getting a lot of these crazy ones. So the most important thing is just sort it out. This is actually the one he got, the last one, and if you watch his video, so it's the nitrogen with the tert butyl and the one I believe bromide. So if you watch his video, you would see that. Let me find it in my notes. Okay, this one's pretty long. So we've got that tetrabutyl ammonium. Ammonium because there's a positive charge on the nitrogen by having 4 different bonds. And then we have the bromide. So I believe this is the hardest one, but we've seen it before, so it shouldn't be that bad. And I know for me, while I was going through it, it would give me like super easy ones, and then at the end, it would give me a super hard one that I had never gotten before. So I just recommend using Google. It helps out a lot. Okay, aminomethane, I drew my methane, and I just added an amino. So some of them are pretty straightforward, like this one. And it can be frustrating, like when you know you've got it, or you think you've got it, and it turns out to be something wrong by like one letter. You've got 2 methyls over here, so I'm gonna write dimethyl. And then I have an amine, so dimethylamine. This is also the smallest acyclic secondary amine. And he gave like a bunch of other names like N-methyl methanamide, but dimethylamine is just so much easier to write. Okay, so the drawing, we're gonna start, we see cyclohexane. It's a 6-member ring. There's no aza, so it's just gonna be the 6-member ring with all carbons. We're gonna add our nitrogen to one of the carbons, and there's 2 ethyls at the nitrogen position, so this nitrogen's gonna have 1 ethyl over here and 1 ethyl over here. Now we're gonna add our hydrogens. Okay, and that should be all we need to do. After you add your hydrogens, there's no need to really manipulate any more hydrogens. Unless you're asked to draw ammonium, then you have to draw an extra hydrogen on that nitrogen. Okay, so these can be kind of tricky, but I'm going to start with what's familiar to me, which is the butane. So I'll draw my 4-carbon chain. I see 1 amine, so I'm going to add my nitrogen to the 1 position that I'll name right here with this carbon, and then diethyl at the N position and at the 2 position. So I'll put an ethyl at the 2 position and then ethyl at the N position. Add my hydrogens and hit arrange and fit. Okay, so it's a little weird looking, but we've got our ethyl over here, we've got our ethyl over here, in position, 1, 2, the 2 position. So just start with what is most familiar. For me, I see the butane and I start from there because that cancels that out. I see diethyl and then 2 an N and 1 amine. It just really helps to kind of break it up into little smaller parts, because just looking at it can be kind of intimidating. Okay, dimethyl, I know wherever the N is going to be, the nitrogen, I'm going to have 2 methyls. I see methane, that's what I'm most familiar with, so I know it's 1 carbon. And then I'm going to have my nitrogen attached, and that nitrogen is going to have, so this is actually trimethylamine. I don't think I have that in my notes, different names. So this is one way you can name it, trimethylamine. Let's see if that's right. I wouldn't name trimethylamine like this because this is a long name and there's a lot of room for error. So if you get trimethylamine, just name it like that. Okay, I'm going to start by drawing my cyclohexane. So 6-member ring. I'm done with this part. I see aza, so I'm going to I'll go ahead and replace this carbon with the nitrogen. And then at that N position, I have an ethyl. So I'll add my carbon or my ethyl right here, add my hydrogens, hit arrange. Okay, so if we double check, cyclohexane, aza makes one of the carbons a nitrogen, and then we have an ethyl only at 1 N position. If it had 2 N's, then it would have 2 ethyls. But it doesn't, so we should be good. Okay, so this one I'm just going to name it methylamine. Okay, sorry, methanamide. I'm not sure if you can name it methylamide. I feel like you'd be able to. No, let's stick to methanamide. So I have my notebook and I have like the different names, some that work, some that don't, but I'm just gonna leave it like this because this is tried and true. So methanamide, leave it like that. Okay, I misspelled it on my notes. Methanamine. Okay, so we have azacyclopentane. I'll do my 5-member ring, and then I see the aza, so I'll go ahead and replace one of those carbons with a nitrogen, add my hydrogen, and hit arrange. Pentane, and that will be good. Okay, so yeah, I recommend just keeping a notebook of all the stuff. I know some of my notes, I went really fast, but watch out because you get one letter wrong, like you guys just saw, and it messes up the whole thing. So if you can name it the shortest name possible, try to do that. I know some of them, he gave us like super long names. I wouldn't use those. I would just use the short ones. But yeah, good luck.